think anyone's new to barre, is yoga mats and a chair for balance. And if you prefer really working on your balance, the chair is not required. But I will say that it helps actually with helping you feel certain muscles better when you don't have to worry about falling over. We also, if you have, I mean, I don't have dumbbells, but if you have like 1 to 3 pound dumbbells or a can of beans, we can use that for the arm portion. But again, it's not required. We do enough pulsing with the arms that you'll probably feel it even without any equipment. If you call beans equipment, it's a food source and equipment. It's, but I can never eat it, otherwise I don't have anything to lift anymore. And then that's it. You don't need socks, you don't need shoes. Take water breaks whenever you need, and you can modify any of the movements. All right, I think I know everyone. I'm not sure who KL is, but welcome. Okay. All right, so it's noon. We're going to go ahead and get started with Barre Fitness. So this is basically a ballet-inspired routine. We'll be doing some pliés, squats, lunges, but it's also fitness, so it's not going to be directly related to ballet movements. I'm going to start with our warm-up. Oh, also, you can play any music you like in your at your place. So you absolutely, I have a very quiet music on right here just to hear sort of a rhythm for myself, but you don't need to listen to my music, and you can play any song you want. All right, we're going to start in first position. So our feet are turned out, the heels are together, the toes are turned out to the corners of the room. And if you want to use that chair, you can. We're going to reach up and over, just waking up our body. This is my first workout of the day. I'm going to assume that it might be your first, or there's a high chance it's your first, unless you did like an early morning workout. Oh wait, for Ann it is 9 a.m., so pretty sure this is her first workout. So reaching up and over, think lengthening up before you bend. Getting our lateral extension going here. We're like contracting on this side, but stretching on this side. This also gets range of motion in our shoulders. We want to try to incorporate as much of our bodies as we can in every exercise. Our abs are engaged, our chest is lifted, and aiming for really good posture. I'm going to add a knee lift with my outside leg. Yeah, usually I do an elbow pull down, but I'm going to actually have you imagine that your elbows has a string connected to your knee. And as you lift that elbow up, you're going to pull that knee up with it. So here we're warming up the hip flexors. And you might feel a little bit of abdominals as it contracts the lift. Toes can be pointed. It can be flexed. It can be neutral. We're just warming up for now. Let's do 2 more. Good. Let's warm up the quads here with the extension and return. Extension, return. So what I'm doing is I'm squeezing my leg nice and straight. Don't worry about lifting it too high. The quads are always fully engaged and the leg is straight. Getting a little bit of hip range of motion. Let's do 4 more. Again, don't worry about height. Focus on like a slow, smooth lifting of your legs so you feel the contraction in your quads and your hip flexors. All right, we're going to do the other side. What I do is I move my chair, but if you want to turn around, as long as you can still see me, it's fine. The side bend on the other side. There's always like different setups for each person. So what you want to do is you want to find the best way that you don't have to strain your neck to watch me. Okay, if that means like moving your chair a certain way, or just reorienting yourself. So that's the most important part. Hi, Jane. Wow, look at you outside. Hi, Paula V. Hey, Ellie. Ellie, I don't know if I've seen you in bar before. Hi, Maxine. Okay, so probably wake up the other side. So remember, when we were doing this movement, this side bend movement, it's not a collapse toward the chair. It's a reach up and over, really trying to get as much lengthening as we can. Okay, and then we're going to attach that string from our elbow to our knee. I'm going to keep my knees bent for now. Less muscles involved. Since we're standing, we're not directly working our abs right now. Like usually you work your abs when you're horizontal. But that doesn't mean your abs aren't engaged, drawn in towards the spine and stabilizing you. Okay, let's do one more. And then we're just going to do the leg extension to the corner of the room. I'm going to try to keep my lifting leg as straight as possible. Really feel those quadriceps engaged, like you're really reaching the toes as far as you can, but feel support around that kneecap. Standing leg is slightly bent. Good. So if you add momentum to this, you can really like maybe kick it high, but that's not the goal right now. The goal is just lift as high as you can without the momentum, with just pure strength of your leg. Let's do 3 more. I know, slightly arbitrary counting. Okay, now the stuff we're gonna do is not, it doesn't matter which side you are. In fact, you could even like face your chair if you want. But this is a plie. You wanna keep your chest up. It's a very, very little bending of the knees. We're still in first position. You probably don't need your chair for balance. You can take your arms out here. So the knees are tracking in line with the toes going out to the corners of the room. This works your shoulders and gets your arm muscles engaged, but we're not talking about tension here where we're elevating the shoulders. You want to keep those shoulders down. The hands are always going to be slightly below the shoulders. Anytime we have it too high, it starts to create too much tension here. We're going to go onto our toes. So getting rid of the plies for a moment. You might find it easier to have balance, but if you don't need the chair, you're going to see your heels separate as they lift off the ground. If you want to change your arm position, and this helps, you can do this. There's also the wide arm position. So feel free to do anything you'd like with your arms, including keeping it down on the chair. You can have one arm out, but since we're not going to do this on the other side, it might feel asymmetrical if you don't do symmetry with your arms. So let's add the plie as well as the lift. So you go down and up and down and up. Again, feel free to have some fun with your arms. warming up the calves here. So for those of you that are just joining, feel free to add your own music soundtrack to what I'm doing. Okay, let's do 2 more. All right, so let's get into the meat of the workout. We start with lower body. And the lower body I'm gonna start with is, you don't necessarily have to face the chair. However, we are gonna go into a wide squat. Let me show you from the side. We're gonna go into a wider squats, maybe second position. And then we're gonna extend out to the side. So if you are doing it this way, you might kick the chair, which is why I recommend facing the chair. The other thing is you can get rid of the chair completely. So maybe you don't really need the balance. So you can squat, lift, squat, lift. So let me show you here without my chair, so I don't kick it. I'm extending to the back corners of the room. I'm squeezing my butt. I'm completely straining my leg for sort of a off-center arabesque. All right, arabesque usually goes straight back. Let me just watch you guys. Yep, so arabesque usually goes straight back. This is a typical arabesque. I'm going to have you actually go to the side. Works your butt a little bit differently. So, again, your feet are wider than it was before. Your heels are not touching. And if you feel more comfortable to go even wider, that's fine. Kind of hard to tell from this screen that I'm kicking back toward the corner. Yeah. Good. So everyone's kind of going at their own pace, which is why I don't really count. But what you do want to feel are obviously your butt muscles, your quads, your hamstrings. Every time you lift that leg to the back, squeeze your abs a little bit more. They should already be squeezing, your chest should already be up, but squeeze your abs a little more so you don't accidentally like hyperextend or arch and sit into your lower back. All right, because we want to keep all that protected. So let's add some pulses, because that's why you take bar. Just kidding, that's probably not why. So here we go. Pulse, 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 pulse. Double pulse in the squat, staying low. Double pulse in the extension. Now notice my hands are really lightly on the chair. There's no point in yanking on the chair and using it for a lot of support because it's not going to support you. It's only there to do a quick balance check. If you're going down, don't pull on the chair. It won't keep you from going down. Double pulse, double pulse. This part is good because everything is symmetrical. Whatever you do on the right, you should do on the left. And then we're going to move into just unilateral work, one side, in which case I should do a better job of counting so that our bodies are symmetrical. All right, so go ahead and do 4 more double pulses on each side. Looking good, looking good. All right, now we're gonna go into just focusing on one leg. So we're back to facing front. Pick the side that your chair is gonna be on. We're gonna be moving only the outside leg. We go into a plie like we did before, and then you're gonna drag your toe up to the knee. It's okay if it doesn't make it all the way to the knee. All right, so let's just practice this movement, kind of the first part of the combo. It's not a big combo. So there's this movement, and then there is that kick out we also did in the warm-up. Let's practice this a little bit, and then we're going to put it together. So it's going to be plie, plie to the knee, plie to a kick. plie to the knee, and kick. Good. And maybe now you can lift a little higher. It's okay to use a little bit of momentum, but make sure your muscles are still squeezing. And take your time with this. Down, up, down, down, up, down. Good. Cool. Just messed up. All right. So that's the combo, and this feels great, and you're working all these hip flexors and the quads here. It's great. If you want to add a little challenge, we go up onto the toes of the standing leg, so the inside leg. So I go down and up, and then as I drag the toe up, I come onto my heels. This is challenging. It is, you're coming onto your heels with one foot and all your weight's on it. Don't worry about how high you come off your heels if you're going to do that option. Down, up. And here's another way you can do it. You can go down, up, lift onto your heels, pull, and down, down, up. Come onto your heels with both legs, and then do the kick. See the difference between that and me being on my heels, and then as I pull the leg up, I come onto my heels? So there's two variations you can do this if you're going to do the heel lift option. So figure out what's challenging for you, but also what's doable for you. All right? Doing a simultaneous lift and a kick with the heel lift is a little bit more challenging coordination and complexity-wise. Let me do this version for you guys here. Good. You guys are doing great. So the main focus here is going to be on your calves with a little bit of hip flexors. Again, your hands, this is an exercise where having your hands on a chair will definitely enhance the workout, because it'll be really hard to maintain the balance, to even get the right muscles contracted if you're not using that balance. All right, let's do 2 more of each one, and then I think we're ready to switch sides. Good, we're aiming to feel the same amount of fatigue on the second side as the first. Usually your body tells you. You can feel this kind of fatigue coming on, and this part's the same. So we're just gonna do this, and then outside leg. We're all asymmetrical. I mean, none of us are equal in strength in right and left side, even if it's minute. Some of us are greater in terms of the differences of our strength from right and left. But your main goal is to fatigue each side. So let's say we did 20 reps of everything, and your right side is so much stronger than your left. I'm going to kick out now. Then 20 reps will completely fatigue the left side, but not do anything for your right. So it either means that you're going to sort of hinder any growth on your right side if you don't push it to fatigue, or you're really, really, really pushing to exhaustion your left side. And while it's not great to stay very, very asymmetrical, like our goal is to try to bring symmetry together, the thing is that we live our lives, right? Like we do bar for what, 45 minutes, we do some other exercise for 45 minutes. Go ahead and alternate. And the thing is, until you change your lifestyle, which created the asymmetry in the first place, then most likely you won't be able to get rid of the asymmetry. So then it's like, okay, well, if you're never going to get rid of the asymmetry because of your daily life, because you're right-handed or you do something with your right foot for some reason, then we might as well make them both stronger. It's kind of a controversial thing. Some people are like, it's all about balance, get everything balanced. But to me, it's like my own philosophy is I've been training so many years and I haven't seen anyone undo the asymmetry because of their legs. So then it's like, well, let's just get everything stronger. Okay, if you want to add that heel lift, you can. Oh, I just heard my hip pop. I'm not doing very well on this side. Oops. Definitely take your time with this. Abs tight, chest up. Sometimes we're thinking so much about our leg patterns, forget about the rest of our body. Starting to sweat a little bit? I get sweating? I turned off my AC because I was getting cold before class, but now I kind of think I need to get it on. How are you feeling with this combination? Bring out what works. Nice. All right, we're go ahead and do like two more on each side. And then we're gonna go into a lunge pulse series, and then we'll be finished with the legs. So with lunges, feel free to shake out your legs. And by the way, anytime I go on my toes, it's never a requirement. I mean, obviously this whole workout is optional, but like it's really great to straighten the calves and work that ankle joint, but I also understand that if you have any sort of ankle sensitivities, that going on your toes is not great. Okay, so when we do lunges, you really want to have, this is a fitness move, you really don't see this in ballet too much, but you want to have a nice long stride. All right, about 90 degrees in both knees. The back knee is aiming to come to ankle height. So it's a pretty big step back. Same leg. It doesn't matter which leg you do, really, because we're facing our chair, but whatever leg you decide to pick, we're just going to focus on that one for now. So this is a standard reverse lunge. And I'm going to add a basic arabesque to it. So the arabesque we did earlier was out to the corners. This one's going to go straight back. I am leaning forward a little bit. See vertical chest, slight lean, abs stay tight. You have to lean forward a little bit in order to get any lift in your leg. Now what is going to really get tired is this front leg. You are working the glutes and muscles of the back leg for sure, but in a different way. Nice hip flexor stretch. But this front leg glute, quads, that's what's really going to get the workout because it's staying on the ground and it is supporting the body. So push off. Push off. Good, hands lightly on the chair. And then we're going to add that double pulse that we did earlier. So I'm down here, pulse, 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 pulse. 2 little lunges. And by little lunges, I mean we're staying down, not fully straightening the leg. Range of motion is really small, down where the contraction is the most. How are you feeling? That front leg is pretty dying, right? We're doing good, we're doing good. Couple more reps, maybe 2 more. Try not to open up your body like this. Try to keep the hips square to the chair, square to the floor, so it's a straight back arabesque. Okay, I'm just gonna switch my chair around so I can use my front leg again for you guys. But you don't need to do anything. Let's start with a reverse lunge. A reverse lunge is a step back and step together. The sore leg that was just still is the moving leg now. So if you haven't switched legs, you're gonna feel it a lot. Looking good. See here? Remember, don't yank on the chair. Or your patio. For Jane, your patio. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a chair. It can be a desk. It can be a countertop. We never kick towards that anyway, so it's not like it matters what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that arabesque. Lunge and lift. Abs tight. You don't need to keep looking at me. You know what's happening. We did this on the other side. Feel free to keep your eye gaze forward and then slightly down, keeping your head and neck in alignment. I'd say if you're looking at a dot on the floor or on the grass about 6 feet ahead of you, that's a good thing. Again, keeping those hips squared. Stretch that hip flexor. If you want to stick with this single lunge, single arabesque, that's perfectly fine. We're going to go into our pulses. So 2 pulses, 2 pulses. If I was really, really awesome and cruel, I could do 4 pulses or 3 pulses. Feel free to do that if that's what you want. There really is no limit to how many pulses you do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just kidding. We're not going to do that. I'm just doing the double pulses, going with my theme of the day. Yeah, there's a method to this madness, isn't there? Do we need the chair? Yeah. Maybe not for the lunge, but for the arabesque. Not for the lunge. All right, let's do 2 more. I think it's starting to feel just as fatigued as I did on the other side. All right, so we're going to go into our, check out those legs. We'll stretch everything at the end. We're going to go into our upper body portion. Grab some water if you need. I'm going to get my beans. I always make sure I do shoulders, because shoulders is where we hold a lot of our tension. And we don't often raise our arms over our head during the day. You don't need to hold anything in your hands. You can have a light fist, not a fist of full tension, but a light fist. When I hold these beans, I'm not trying to squeeze the life out of the beans. I'm not trying to dent the can, just a light grip. And mostly because we're not here to work on our grip muscles. If you are, that's another story. Here we're trying to keep the work in our shoulders. So my elbows are slightly bent, so I'm not putting pressure or stress into my joints. I'm not here to work my elbow joint. I'm here to work my muscles. So a slight bend in those elbows is good. We're also going to have a slight bend in that standing knee. Standing knees, I should say. Good, I'm going to bring it forward. You want that strong posture. So it's not like I'm swinging my body when I do any sort of arm lift. You're really strong and stable. That requires stabilization of your abs and your pelvis. Good. If you have any sort of shoulder injury and you need to keep your arms at shoulder height or below, feel free to continue doing these exercises. I'm going to take it overhead, up, and pull. Reach, and pull. So again, on any given day, working from home, we're at our computers, we're fixing lunch, breakfast. We don't really reach over our head. Unless you have like 5 boxes of cereal on the top of your fridge, in which case, I'm always reaching over my head for my cereal. Good, I'm not locking my elbows at the top here, and my elbows are coming to shoulder height at its lowest. Maybe a little bit below shoulder height, but really just that vicinity. You don't want it to come all the way down here. And you also don't want to stop up here. That's a very partial range. We're trying to find a good range of motion that effectively works that muscle. All right, keep it down here, or we're gonna put the lid on the pot. Like, you took the lid off the pot and you're smelling that soup, then you put the lid back on. I don't know if this is how people take lids off pots. It's just the only thing I can think of when I see this exercise. We're doing chest flies, and even though I call them chest flies, we're actually not working the chest that much. A little bit as we squeeze the elbows in. But usually on a chest fly machine, the resistance is coming from behind you. So it's work to close those elbows. In this case, we're still mostly working our shoulders, because what we're doing is we're lifting our arms and weights against gravity. It is work to hold our arm up at shoulder height. 2 more. All right, arms down. This should feel good because your shoulders are getting tired, and the only time we're not working our shoulders is when our arms and elbows are down below our shoulders. Have my feet hip distance apart. I'm gonna reach my tailbone to the back of the room. Keep the chest lifted, keep the spine straight. Lift your elbows. Probably gonna be around shoulder height. Once you've set it, look at your arm position. The dumbbells or the beams are just hanging down. This is your start position, 90 degree in the elbows. The end position is arms straight. So it's a 90 degree range of motion. Try to resist pulling your arms all the way to your shoulders. Find that range of motion that's effective. The most effective part about this, so IDs will be on the floor, keep your head and neck aligned just fine. But the thing that's most effective here is the straightening part. If you think about your squats, when you stand up and your legs are all the way straight, that's you at rest. The hardest part of the squat is when your knees are bent. But for triceps, that is not the case. For triceps, is when your arms are straight, that it does its most work. So let's go ahead and pulse it up here. Pulse, pulse. Slight bend and straighten. You're still trying to keep your abs tight, trying to keep your chest lifted. Head and neck aligned with the spine. I'm not looking down at my knees. I'm not looking at my belly button. I'm looking about 4 feet ahead of my toes. Let's do 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. The opposite of the triceps are your biceps. I have my palms up. If you're holding dumbbells, they should be parallel to the floor. If you're not holding anything, you can just have your palms like this. You can have a light fist. Okay? The thing about weight training, a lot of people think it's very complex, but it's actually not. Once you understand how your body works, you know that every time you want to work the biceps, you're going to be bending your arms. So try to bend your arms and lift something, like groceries, once a day. Well, you don't have to do anything today because you've done bar. You're all set. But on the days you're not working out, like think about the movements you do. Lifting your laundry basket, things like that. That's all about bending the elbows. Triceps is harder to work throughout your day. That's why they tend to be a weaker muscle. All right, I'm gonna take my orientation out to the corners. And I'm really gonna pull my elbows in. You love your elbows so much, you wanna keep them close to your body. So pull them toward your rib cage as you curl. Now this is the full range of motion for biceps. I'm not locking my arm straight at the bottom. I'm keeping my elbows still. So what I'm not doing is like lifting my elbows there just to try to get the dumbbells to touch my shoulders. It's okay, it doesn't have to touch your shoulders. Now where is the most challenging range for your biceps? It's actually not all the way down, it's not all the way up. It's right in the middle, where gravity has its greatest pull. So let's go ahead and pulse right in the middle. Biceps are a lot stronger than our triceps. It takes more to get it fatigued. So if you are going grocery shopping and carrying stuff in, you do work your biceps a lot more than triceps. Triceps are a pushing muscle. So unless you're pushing yourself off the floor or pushing a really heavy door shut or doing push-ups, you're not going to be doing triceps much. All right, from here, I'm going to reach it out and in. Out and pull. Out and pull. Just a little shoulders involved again. It's really hard not to work the shoulders when you're standing upright. The best way to work our chest is to be lying on the ground and pushing these weights up toward the ceiling. But instead of doing that, I'm going to do push-ups. Okay, watch here. I'm going to reach my arms out to the side, slightly forward, and I'm going to flip it. You can flip your arms with or without weights. Your palms are up, your palms are down. Elbow slightly bent. How are we doing? Your arms start by feeling like they weigh 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Now your arms weigh a ton. Hard to keep it up. Let's do 8 more flips. 8, 7, 6, 5. We just have about 5 minutes of abs and then some stretching. Good. We're gonna do push-ups first, so we can get rid of our beans. So I don't do too much abs because the focus of this class is bar, and I do already a Pilates class, so I don't want the 2 classes to be very, very similar. So I just do the ab portion, small amount at the end. But first we're gonna do our push-ups because that's still part of the upper body stuff, right? The pushing. But we are in a plank position when we do push-ups, so we are starting to get into our abdominal series here. So you got options. I'm gonna take my hands wider than my mats. You can do push-ups on your knees. This is what I call kneeling push-ups. My chest is aiming for the floor between my hands if I drew a line from hand to hand. Now if I'm gonna do knee push-ups, so there's kneeling and then this is knee push-ups, same thing, my chest is aiming for that space between my hands. All right, this is also considered a knee plank, and then you can do it on your toes. So we're now going to do 16 push-ups. Yes, 16, 8 times 2, 4 by 4. All right, and you can do it at your own pace. And if you don't want to do 16 push-ups, you don't have to. Find what challenges you. Inhale down, exhale up. That's 5 for me. Eye gaze on the floor. 8 more. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I actually lost count. I can't even count to 16 anymore. It's kind of pathetic, but if we did hopefully around there, you should feel muscular fatigue in your triceps and your chest. Oh, wow, it feels so good to lay down. All right. Injuries, if you have any neck issues or lower back issues, this is your go-to abdominal exercise, okay? If there's anything I do in the next 5 minutes that doesn't feel good for your neck or lower back, you're here. Supporting the head and neck, feet on the floor, knees bent, lower back imprinted, spine fully supported while working your abs, okay? I'm gonna take one hand, I'm gonna reach it across and over towards the opposite knee. Don't worry about speed. In fact, slow and controlled is great for your abs. When I do this oblique exercise, both shoulder blades are coming up. This shoulder blade sometimes stays on the ground. We just kind of roll over to that shoulder blade. You're not going to feel your abs as much if you do that. You want to lift both shoulder blades. What happened is the arm that's reaching, that shoulder blade lifts higher. But that doesn't mean both shoulder blades aren't lifting. Let's try the other side. I'm trying to do 8 of everything. Most likely it might be like 12. Because I start talking. So you can feel when your shoulder blade is on the mat or off the mat. So the hands that's behind the head, that shoulder blade, you really want it to get off the mat. 2 more here. Good. This is all our rectus abdominis. You'll really feel it. So now, this is stabilization. Abs are still working, we're no longer crunching up. So it's working in a stabilizing way, much similar to the plank. Let's push our hands down into the mats. And let's slowly start to straighten the legs a little more. Imprint that lower back. So I'm extending the leg, kind of like I'm doing the Rockettes can-can. And if you want to try this with your legs off the ground, start here, kick, kick, squeeze the quads. More challenge, kick, out, at an angle. So if I just straighten my legs and kick straight up, yes, I feel my quads, I do feel some abs, but you will definitely feel more when you kick it out at an angle. Now, it can be 90, it can be 80, it can be 45. I'm not great at geometry, but you know angles. I wouldn't go down lower than 30. I think it starts to pull on your lower back and maybe you'll lose imprints. But you definitely feel your abs working every time you extend the leg out. Now be sure that the other leg that's not moving doesn't pull back in. Because if you do this kind of counterbalance movement, you don't feel your abs as much because this leg, the weight of your leg actually helps your abs. So the leg that's not moving is staying right over the hips. Yeah, now let's add that crunch back in. I'm keeping my legs mostly the same. Extend, return. Extend, return. I added a twist. So I'm twisting away from the straight leg. I'm twisting towards the bent knee that's not moving. Both shoulder blades are still off the floor. Both shoulder blades still off the floor. Good. Very nice. We're going to roll ourselves up and get back into a plank position. This time we're on our elbows. We're going to hold. You can hold right here. If you want to be on your knees, you can. If you want to raise your hips a little higher, as long as you feel your abdominals working. Shoulders are starting over the elbows. And I'm going to rock forward a little bit and rock back. So I'm going to point my toes, kind of, and I'm going to flex my toes. My toes stay on the ground. It's my ankles and heels moving. Kind of gliding forward and back. Let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Gonna have you come onto your stomach. Just kind of want to work on the spine here for a little bit. Reaching right arm, left leg. Left arm, right leg. So it's important also to balance out all the ab work with spine work. Take your time with the inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Opposite limbs. I'm going to do 4 with all 4 limbs lifted. I'm reaching to the corners of my mat, so I'm not straight forward and straight back. Trying to keep my legs and arms straight as I lift. So I'm going to do 4 with all 4 limbs lifted, but feel free to keep alternating. Inhale. Good. And push yourself up and sit back. We're going to go into our stretches here. So just ease into your quadruped, wrists underneath shoulders, knees under hips. And just take your spine through its extremes, tucking the tailbone under, dropping the head. Smile. Rainbow. Let's stretch our legs. I know you've been wanting to. So I'm taking one leg forward. This stretches the hip flexor, and then my bent leg. Getting a little bit of butt stretch. Good. Sit back for a hamstring stretch. So that front leg, getting that chest down toward the thigh. Feel free to stretch however you like. I know not every stretch works for every body, so like every single person's body. Okay, from here, I'm actually going to orient myself into a low wide squat. This is a nice hip opener. I'm pushing my knees out with my elbows. I know it feels like we're squatting again, but we're actually, if you're too low in a squat, you're actually just hanging out. Kind of like, you know, you're in the forest. When nature calls. So yeah, there's a range of motion for squats where there's no longer any work. So that's why range of motion is really important. We're going to go to the other side. That's why range of motion is really important when you're exercising. You want to know the effective range of motion. Oh, keep going. Y'all are still with me? It's nice. Thanks. Stretching is actually really important. It's so important that when I taught boot camp yesterday, I totally forgot to stretch. Because my brain just went, I was so tired from doing all this like burpees and stuff. I mean, Neha was in there yesterday. I don't know if she noticed that I didn't stretch, but I felt really bad after I ended the meeting. I was like, oh, I didn't stretch. So doing the hamstring now. And again, there's so many ways you can stretch the hamstring, so you don't have to do it this way. All right, we're gonna stretch the butt. Oh, yes. So you can take the ankle over the knee. So from here, the more you bend, the more you kind of sit your butt closer and your chest closer. You'll get this stretch there. All right, we're gonna switch sides. So I straighten out my leg, cross the other ankle over the knee, and stretch. Thank you all for joining me during your lunch break. I mean, except for Anne, who's doing her for breakfast break. Let's stretch our triceps and the obliques. So here's the tricep part, and then when I lean away, I'm getting the obliques. You can have your feet together if you want. Good, let's ease into the other side. Usually when you're stretching one muscle group, you're stretching multiples because everything's connected. Good, for our shoulders, the best way to stretch your shoulders is a dynamic movement. Looking for that 360 range of motion. A healthy shoulder should be able to go up, all the way back, forward, right? We're looking for that range. Because the shoulder has such a great range of motion, it is also very likely to be injured. Our knee joint, since it only goes forward and back, it almost has its own sort of self-protection. I will say that for self-defense, if you are ever in trouble, this is really not super related, but sort of related, is that one of the most effective ways of getting away if you need to, you never want to stay and fight, because as a female, you're probably not going to win whoever's attacking you. They are most likely male. But if you want to just get away, you could kick them in the groin. But what's also very effective is if you kick their knees and make sure it goes the other way. Like kick it as hard as you can. It's not even a high kick, it's a very low kick, so you don't have to have the flexibility. And then it disengages them enough that you can run away. It's all about just running away. All right, we're back to getting any kinks out of our lower back. And that pretty much is it.